Once, a musician of great but unknown talent came to town. He stood on a street corner and began to play. Those who stopped to listen could not tear themselves away. And soon, a large crowd stood enthralled by the beautiful music whose equal they had never heard. Before long, they were moving to its rhythm, and the entire street started to dance joyously. But then, a deaf man walked by and wondered, has the world gone mad? Why are the townspeople jumping up and down, waving their arms and turning in circles in the middle of the street? USY, when I first heard this teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, I pictured us, a collective of individuals from around the continent and the world, the proud flock who dance together, sing together, laugh together, and rejoice together. We are the townspeople, and in the one moment described in the story, we made magic happen. For many of us, the reason that we're in attendance at this convention is a magical moment just like the one described. An epiphany, an enlightenment, an exposure to new and addictive music. What I am describing is commonly referred to in the USY lexicon as #MyUSYMoment. And of course, as all of you know, there's a Facebook group including all of those USY moments. What makes USY moments unique is rather than them being about the individual, they're about the collective. They're about unity, achdut, and they're about serving the world with joy. When you boil it down, USY, moments are embodied by my favorite phrase, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy. I remember my USY moment, freshman year, Kabbalat Shabbat of our fall convention. What a thrill it was to join in the group jump, hum, kick, and roar. It was ecstatic. And USY moments come in all shapes and sizes. Take Daphne Furman, for example, who described her moment as the best day of her life. She, along with the rest of Group 3 on USY Israel Pilgrimage, were gathered around a fire in Machtesh Ramon in Israel, singing campfire songs and stargazing. When Daphne described her moment on Facebook, I imagined myself there with her and the rest of G3, staring up into the vast, dark night sky and being comforted by the warmth of the fire and the surrounding group. She says that there is this love for Judaism and for USY that radiates inside of me, her words, her happiness, her simcha. Or how about Jackie Minlin from Naruzi, whose moment was as simple as an unexpected hug from a charismatic USY leader. Her moment broke her out of her shell and showed her that it is okay to be me. When Jackie described her moment, I felt as though I were there with her, embracing my friend as if we hadn't seen each other in years, happier than ever, because I felt wanted and loved. Jackie's moment was about unity and joy. Just like the townspeople, the woman described earlier, experience perception-altering love and support that exists nowhere else. They heard the music for the first time, music that helped form who they are today. These moments, just like the enlightening musician, were none other than life-changing and holy. And while these moments so deeply impact and empower so many of us in the room, these are essential to the USY experience. And without these moments, it can be very difficult to become an insider. What if you don't have a moment? What if you walked through USY like a deaf man walking through a town? Or even worse, what if the music just stopped? What if the magic was only contained among a small, selective group of people? That being said, USY still has tremendous impact. Thousands of Jewish teens walk away from the USY experience with a deepened connection to their Judaism and a more sophisticated outlook on the world. An example of a program this year that impacted both the USYers and the world around them took place in the small but mighty Hanefesh region. Westport USY put on an event in which they collected food and clothing donations before sending USYers across New York City to distribute what was collected to those in need. USYers felt really humbled and proud to have had the opportunity to help others. Also, it made people more appreciative of what they have. That is the power of USY. Talk about Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha and the impact that that has on people. Another example took place in the Seaboard region, Shabbat Across Seaboard, in which chapters celebrated Shabbat on the same night in their various local communities. There is no doubt that this event brought people closer together while giving potential members a taste of what USY. This is what I'm talking about, Seaboard. You exemplified Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, rejoicing in the gift of Shabbat while creating inclusive and welcoming hubs of USY across your region. The Midnight Run and Shabbat Across Seaboard are just two examples of moments that have brought people in, inspiring youth to give back and making them feel a part of something much larger than themselves. Simultaneously, we have the potential to impact thousands more. Zabib said it earlier today, only 18% of North American Jewish teens are engaged. That means, through simple mathematics, 82% have no idea what they're missing out on. And it's incumbent upon each of us to bring them in. It is essential for USY to cultivate the minds of its constituents now in high school. But remember the musician. If we can't spread the music to others, it is futile. If we can't spread the music to others, then it is worthless. So let's think differently. Why does USY start with 9th grade? Let's invite elementary school kids and bring them in before they get caught up in the mishigas of high school. All right. And what's amazing about our potential to reach those youth is that we already have a system in place for engaging pre-high schoolers, Kadima. What if the focus of our gatherings shifted from having a good time to how can we provide transformative experiences to young people? I invite you to see USY differently. See it by the potential it has to make the world a better place, and see it as a vehicle for developing young minds and nurturing hearts. I invite you to join me in believing that USY can no longer be about the USYers. USY must now be about those not in USY, potential members, prospective members, and even most importantly, those in need. It is not enough for capable and excited teens like us to be participants in a program. We must focus to empower every attendee, ensuring that each of you feels that you have a stake in our movement and that you are able to impact lives from a young age. The power of USY, and moreover, the power of Judaism is community, is engaging with others, is teaching. and it's Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. USY is about service. USY is about spreading the magic. USY is about teaching the music. This call to action, to serve, is even embedded in something as foundational as language. As a proud member of the Nativ 37 family, I get to develop my Hebrew skills informally in the streets of Yerushalayim and formally at the Hebrew University, the best academic institution in the Middle East. When my Upan teacher taught us the Hebrew word for high school, tichon, I realized that there is something I was deeply misunderstanding about the role of high school that is embedded in the Hebrew language. Tichon not only means high school, but also the middle, the center, as it takes place in between elementary school and university. This is certainly obvious, but so often taken for granted because the role of high school is extremely formative in a person's life, so much so that the Hebrew language makes a point of its central role in the development of youth. This notion is supported by numerous developmental studies, and as Rabbi Warnick loves to say, each additional teenage year of Jewish engagement leads to exponentially greater Jewish engagement later in life. Centrality, implied by tichon, rather than basking in the sunlight of glory and selfishness, also connotes a sense of responsibility. It is not enough that being in the center of a person's development leads to the USY years being the best there are. We must, as a movement, understand that there are formative, crucial educational opportunities that take place before high school that we so often take for granted. It's as if we have the power to share the music with thousands of individuals without them even knowing. And we must remember that USY is about service. USY is about including as many as possible in transformative experiences. And I am proud to say that we do provide those transformative experiences. We provide them at chapters like Seattle Nimratz, leading their congregation in services in Ruach. We provide them in regions like Hanegev that collectively collected hundreds of pairs of socks to donate to those in need. We provide them on our summer experiences like Dream that transform the lives of local kids in the Dominican Republic. We provide them on USY on Wheels, like when Bus B and PNW gathered in front of the Rosie's truck. It was a good time. To do publicity and meet with their employees. We provide them all over the world, like USY Pilgrimage, with programs like LTO. I remember volunteering at a Russian old age home in Haifa and feeling inspired by the USYers who were there with me. All over the world, we praise joyously. We are Ovdei Hashem B'Simcha from far and wide. And across the board, it is no coincidence that the common form of transportation among those trips is none other than a bus. A bus is a form of transportation that so many in this room have called home for 4 to 6 weeks. But when I picture a bus, I don't see it at face value. I picture a bus full of teens motivated to make change in the world, and I think to myself, what if each of these teens became the driver of their own bus, filled with hundreds of other teens, inspiring them to be Ivdu et Hashem B'Simcha. And I hear a bunch of chuckles. Obviously, they would need to be licensed legal drivers. That was implied. But seriously, they have the potential to introduce them to this music, change their world, and change the world around them by bringing so many others in. That's what we have the power to do. Now, to synthesize all of these thoughts, I have a piece of Torah. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. Torah scholars increase peace in the world. Shene'emar V'chol Banaich Lemodei Hashem V'rav Shalom Banaich. As it is said, and all your children shall be taught of the Lord. Great shall be the peace of your children. Al tikrei banaich ela bonaich. Rather than read children, read builders. USY, as I have the privilege of standing before this room, I do not merely see children. I see builders. I see musicians. I see bus drivers, legally licensed bus drivers. I see love, I see joy, and I see peace. And most of all, I see potential. So think of your nigun. Think of your song. Think of whatever gets you up in the morning. Think of whatever inspires you. And let it be a reminder of your service, of your responsibility to share the music with others, now that you've been so profoundly impacted by it. Now that you have lived the magic of USY, it is incumbent upon you to pass it on, not just to your peers, but especially to the malleable, young, and curious elementary school minds who we aren't impacting. At the end of the day, USY, this isn't actually about the music. It's about the musician. And more than you know, that musician can be each and every one of you. Thank you.